Left courtesy of Walt Disney Studios Lucasfilm, Limited. Right, by Jonathan Ollie. Walt Disney Studios Lucasfilm, Limited. Everett Collection. As with every Star Wars film, The Last Jedi comes packed with tiny details that emerge upon a second viewing, or, if you're preternaturally observant, upon the first. Some of these details help explain plot points that might otherwise feel a little convenient, like the Empire's new ability to track ships through hyperspace, while others are simply heartwarming callbacks to the original. Did you notice what Luke Skywalker used as a door in his hideout on Ahch-To? Here, for your perusal, are 6 little Easter eggs you might have missed, beyond all the fabulous cameos we already told you about. Hyperspace tracking. The idea of hyperspace tracking might have seemed a little far-fetched for the Star Wars universe at first, especially given how readily everyone on the Rebel ships seemed to accept that the Empire had pulled off this seemingly impossible feat. But it appears the Star Wars franchise actually planted the seeds for this innovation last year. In Rogue One, some sharp observers have noted, so Felicity Jones finds a file filled with hyperspace tracking research as she searches for the Death Star plans. This means that the Empire's efforts to develop this technology was decades in the making, which renders that plot point far more plausible than it might have first seemed. Luke Skywalker's repurposed door looks like our friend Luke has been watching some HGTV. He decided to salvage one very sentimental object, a part of his old X-Wing, to use as the door to his abode on Ahch-To. The ship itself, as filmgoers saw, sits below the water, just offshore of the island. It makes sense that Luke would use part of his old ship as home. The two have been through a lot together. And given that Yoda already salvaged the thing from the depths of the Dagobah swamp, it seems only polite to make use of it for as long as possible. An old Jedi mind trick. Luke's trick on Kylo Ren at the end of The Last Jedi, in which he uses an astral projection to fool Kylo into thinking his old master is on Crate when in fact Luke has never left Ahch-To, came with one hint to fans as to what was really going on. Eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed something amiss with the Luke that showed up on the salty planet, specifically, the lightsaber he carried. The blue-bladed weapon was, in fact, the same one that Kylo and Rey destroyed during their battle in Snoke's chamber. Kylo's failure to pick up on that detail speaks well to his tunnel vision when it comes to destroying Luke, and makes sense, since Luke was not present for Rey and Kylo's battle, and so would likely not have known the weapon had already been destroyed. How he managed to hand Leia Han's gold dice without having a bodily presence, however, we might never know. Speaking of that little trinket, if you were wondering why it means so much to Luke and Leia, we've got you covered here. Admiral Holdo's jewelry. Last Jedi director Rian Johnson already confirmed that his film's wealth of space jewelry came courtesy of Carrie Fisher, who insisted during rehearsals that the galaxy needed it. We couldn't agree more. But did you take a close look at Admiral Holdo's cuffs? According to Screen Rant, their design is an homage to her home planet. They map the constellations visible from the Admiral's home planet, Gatalanta. I have failed you. Those words, which Luke utters to his former apprentice Kylo Ren, are the same words Obi-Wan Kenobi once spoke to his own apprentice-turnedic, Anakin Skywalker. Could Kylo, like Anakin, still be saved? If so, let's hope someone manages to get to him a little sooner than Luke got through to his father. Based on what we saw between him and Rey, there's a good chance she could convince him, assuming he doesn't pull her into the dark side with him. Get Vanity Fair's HWD newsletter. Sign up for essential industry and award news from Hollywood. Full screen photos. 18 stars who bash their own work. You don't expect it to be as bad as it is sometimes. Berry told Chelsea Handler of her ill-fated superhero foray. Then it comes out, and you think, fuck. That's what I did. Hey, she'll always have Storm. Photo from Warner Bros. Everett Collection. Even Sly had to admit this one was rotten to its core. Stop or my mom will shoot was the worst, he said back in 2010. If you ever want someone to confess to murder, just make him or her sit through that film. They will confess to anything after 15 minutes. Photo from Universal Everett Collection. 5 years ago, the half-man from 2.5 Men found religion and forsook the sitcom that made him famous. Jake from 2.5 Men means nothing, Jones said. He's a non-existent character. If you watch 2.5 Men, please stop watching 2.5 Men. I'm on 2.5 Men and I don't want to be on it. Please stop filling your head with filth. He later apologized but still left the series following its 20,122,013 season. Photo from CBS Photo Archive. Getty Images. The man Horribly Trump did not mince words on this one. In 2013, Baldwin said that he knew Rock of Ages would stink from the start, calling it a complete disaster. A week in, you go, "Oh God, what have I done?" Baldwin added, noting that actors get an ominous feeling when one of their movies is doomed. The plane is buffeting, the engine is on fire. Photo from Warner Bros. Everett Collection. Perhaps no celebrity in the history of Hollywood has come up with more gleeful, creative ways to insult a movie they've worked on than Robert Pattinson. The erstwhile Edward Cullen was famously not fond of the Twilight series, as expressed through a vast series of burns. Watch a supercut here. "When I read it," Pattinson said of Stephanie Meyer's book, "it seemed like it was a book that wasn't supposed to be published." Pattinson later noted, "I was convinced that Stephanie was convinced she was Bella," his psychological evaluation of the author. "This woman is mad." Pattinson wasn't even particularly fond of his character, whose signature facial expression he described as a mixture of looking slightly constipated and stoned. His evaluation of the central couple's relationship, which is largely predicated on Edward wanting to eat Bella, and Bella not caring because she loves him so much. "There's definitely something wrong with her, and there's very obviously something wrong with me." When an interviewer asked which co-star made his time on the project the most enjoyable, Pattinson credited SKII face packs, which thrilled his Korean beauty-oriented fans, at least. And finally, when Jimmy Fallon pointed out toward the end of Pattinson's final Breaking Dawn Part 2 press tour that this was a sad moment for fans, Pattinson gleefully replied, "For them." Photo from Summit Entertainment. Photo Fist. Cusack infamously hated this 80s hit. Director Savage Steve Holland once said that the actor walked out of a test screening after just 20 minutes and later told Holland, "You know, you tricked me. Better Off Dead was the worst thing I have ever seen. I will never trust you as a director ever again, so don't speak to me." Cusack has since pushed back on the notion that he hates the movie. Photo from Warner Bros. Everett Collection. And finally, let's not forget Sally Field, who could have stopped at saying that The Amazing Spider-Man was not my kind of movie. Instead, she decided to keep going, saying that she did not try very hard while portraying her fan-favorite character, Aunt May. "It's really hard to find a three-dimensional character in it," Field said. "And you work it as much as you can, but you can't put 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag." Photo from Columbia Co. Bolrec Shutterstock.